So we were just up here stretching a little bit, and David was doing some shoulder stand variations, and I had asked him about if dynamism, being dynamic, is supported by calibration, which is this idea that he's talked to me a little bit about before, and I was trying to clarify what that meant. So do you want to just clarify what calibration is exactly?
What it is, basically, it's what characterizes the Vinyasa learning style, which is that it's a series of gestures, of complete whole body dynamic gestures, so that the way that your transitions into asanas, they have a preparedness, a readiness, there's a poise, and then you put that movement into play in a whole gesture. And so in that way, you learn to do the positions by repeating them many times. And you don't learn it in one single time by trying to piece it together. And so in that way, then every time you put one of those dynamic gestures into play, after you've done it, you kind of examine or reflect on the results, and then you recalibrate. That's this idea of calibration, is that you recalibrate the next try and correct and adjust. Like the way somebody that was shooting a gun at a skeet, that there's no time to really think it through individually. You have to, everything has to be ready. The shot gets fired, and you aim and go ahead of that skeet and fire, and hopefully that lines up. And it happens repeatedly by the movement of your body, by everything by your brain preparedness, your body's preparedness. And so that's what happens in the asana practice as well. And when Vinyasa practice is done effectively and well, that's the exact learning style, this dynamic gesturing. And so there's a confidence and a speed to the transitions that comes that's so awesome when you are tuned into that. Which
my point was, oh, okay, so that is dynamism. That is what you want us to be trying to do, is being dynamic.
Yeah.
And so by deciding that we're going to learn through line it up, go, is supporting this idea of being dynamic, of how to be dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, and just that's what Ashtanga, what Vinyasa's meant to be. Like, that's why it's so awesome, effective of a learning style, as opposed to a more static style, where that opportunity is not as readily available to you throughout your practice.
Right. And David was saying how it's one of the reasons why he loves football so much, is that like those players, it's such like a crunch time, right? That they don't have the chance to go like, oh, where am I going? Where am I going? They just like throw the ball, right?
Yeah, there's a poise and a readiness and a sharpness to it. There's no hesitation and a confidence in where it's going, and the results have to take care of themselves. You know, and when you blow it, then you get crushed. You gotta rethink it, reflect. But it's all about putting it into play. And practicing enough, repeating enough. So those football players have been practicing so many pass patterns and throwing, and so that hookup is there. It's throughout their whole body and mental, nervous system and everything. And so there's a preparedness and a readiness. And that's the same as the daily practice when you approach it properly. But what can happen is what I call the schlag, which is where that dynamism is missing. And so that the transitions, they don't have a readiness. They just sort of blend one thing into another. And so that it's not taking advantage of the possibility that this rhythm that Vinyasa sets in motion, and the possibility to gesture and dynamically transition.
Well, and then it also means that you aren't utilizing the way of how Ashtanga lends itself to learning.
Exactly. Yeah. Or how do you go further? That how Ashtanga requires you to learn. That's It's based on that.
Right. 6 days a week, dude. Yeah. Totally.
6 days a week, and you don't stop. It's a flowing practice. And so if you're ever going to learn to do like Chaturanga Dandasana well, or upward dog, you're going to do it dynamically. And you're going to put a whole gesture into play that way, like all at once, from a readiness.
Yeah.
And if you have to think about it on the way, or if you just forget thinking about it, then you will have a hard time of it.
Yeah. Okay, and so you just want to show us the transition.
I'll show you like some interesting, some of these variations in shoulder stand are not actually in the sequence, but they illustrate the point, and some of them are in the sequence. But yeah, I'll just show you what I mean. And just even going up into it is dynamic. And so Chahalasana, or coming up, you take aim, you cock it, and you make it happen. So there's no real hesitation in the middle.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to say?
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to put these ideas into play and to experiment with them. I just find it awesome. And I just want to show you one other thing, which is, and these are small examples, they're everywhere, but like going up into Shirshasana, like this. It's clear where you're going. And so there's no need to hesitate. And there's a poise. There's a setup and putting it in play. It's challenging though, but it's very fun and awesome, and just brings the practice to life.